Coming up, sinking oil prices, multi-billion-dollar deficits, uncertain times for the ship of state, manned by a bipartisan crew not fully embraced by Republicans or Democrats.
Being the only independent, nonpartisan governor in the nation, I had an opportunity to serve all Alaskans equally.
Now, Bill Walker's grand experiment is over.
The next governor coming in will come into a balanced budget, and that's something that we did not.
Ahead, the questions that linger, how Alaskans will remember Bill Walker.
Alaska, where there are old triumphs, but also new frontiers, with challenges as great as the state itself, but a belief that the best is yet to come, bringing you the faces, the places, and the spirit of the last frontier. This is Frontiers with Rhonda McBride.
Welcome to our program. It's not easy to be governor in a state like Alaska. Its newness as a state, the vastness and the diversity of its people, well, it makes for some challenging rounds of political poker. Every governor gets dealt a different hand, and Bill Walker is no different.
And no one can foretell what the future is going to be.
Nor can a governor predict how politics will shape the climate. When Bill Walker moved onto the third floor of the Capitol, Alaskans found themselves in need of a rainy day governor. What would the Bill Walker of today tell the Bill Walker who was just moving into this office 4 years ago?
One is that you can't control the fiscal situation. You have to deal with it. You have to deal with it head on.
When you have such a sudden crash in your income, it sort of throws everything that you plan in upheaval.
It does.
And you have to focus on money first. Somebody
asked me, what is one of my goals or visions as governor? And this was a couple years ago. I said, I never want to have any governor, future governor, ever having to make the decisions I've had to make.
When Bill Walker took office, the price of oil was at $74, and by January, it dropped to $26. It seems to me that when we have these fiscal crises, that it consumes so much energy, that oftentimes our leaders aren't able to focus on the future.
Stability is the future. We will leave a balanced budget, and it's balanced because we reduced spending by $1.4 billion. We closed 40 facilities. We laid off 3,000 people. You know, we did the hard stuff.
As an outgoing governor, I mean, what advice would you give to future administrations about the importance of stability?
Make decisions today about the future of Alaska, not your political future.
Bill Walker campaigned on his decades-long dream to tap the North Slope's rich gas reserves, build a pipeline to carry it to market, and ship gas all over the world. But the state's fiscal crisis changed all that. Rather than raise taxes, lawmakers chose to drain the state's rainy day savings account until there was only one left, permanent fund earnings, which pays out dividends to Alaskans. Every governor has struggled with how to fund state government, even those Bill Walker calls his three wise men, Bill Egan, Jay Hammond, and Wally Hickel.
He's one that convinced me to run for governor.
Ever since the fund was created, every governor has wrestled with whether or not to use some of those earnings to pay for government, especially in years when oil prices crash, something Governor Frank Murkowski pushed for but failed to get reelected.
Certainly, Governor Sheffield had some difficult times when he was governor.
Bill Sheffield was also a one-term governor who ordered massive layoffs when oil dropped to $8 a barrel. Sarah Palin got lucky. The price of oil skyrocketed and stayed strong through most of Sean Parnell's time in office. But not so for Bill Walker. When people stand at your portrait, what do you want them to remember?
That I had the political courage to put Alaska far ahead of my own political ambition, and I hope that that will be an inspiration.
For Bill Walker, things came full circle at this Anchorage Chamber of Commerce meeting. his last as governor. He told the gathering he believes the worst is over.
Alaska is headed in a very good direction, I believe. I'm the ultimate optimist.
In 2016, Walker did what no governor has ever dared to do: trim the dividend to close the budget gap, a move that opened the door for lawmakers to do the same thing for the next 2 years. When there was polling done before the election, people said there is no way you could win, that you were so unpopular, partly due to your decision to trim permanent fund dividends. Do you think that history will remember you much more kindly?
I don't know. But, sometimes you have to sort of make a decision about is it the right thing to do? And that's how I made that decision. Is the right thing to do, not for me, but for Alaska.
But do you regret taking that step? Because
I
it
don't.
might have cost you your election.
Somebody had to be the leader to step up and say, we can't continue on the course we're on right now, or the dividend program is going to go away. And so someone had to step up and say, we need to do something, and it's going to be unpleasant, but we need to do it. And if the price for that is I'm here for 4 years rather than for 8 years, I can live with that.
But in the end, do you feel like that was the right decision?
There really wasn't any other decision. Tough time to be governor. The toughest, I think the toughest, quite honestly, in our state's history, but that's okay. I came to do the job, and I believe we did the job, and part of the proof of that is we hand over a balanced budget.
A long ways from the start of the Walker administration, when oil crashed at $24. Since then, the budget has been helped by a gradual increase in oil prices that in October peaked at $84, but recently it's dropped back down. So future legislatures may need to turn to permanent fund earnings to balance the budget. Turn back the clock 4 years ago to Bill Walker, the candidate, when I asked him how he would want to be remembered if elected.
Bill the Builder, perhaps.
Bill the Builder.
I am so anxious for us to build the infrastructure we need to open up this state.
Instead, his job was to rebuild the foundation of the state's finances.
Some have asked me, why did you not wait until a second term to do some of these things? I said, because there's no guarantee of a second term. And when the house is on fire, you put the fire out.
But the governor says his administration did make progress on the natural gas project, that their steady stream of negotiations with East Asian leaders may help to line up buyers needed to win financing for this mega project. The next governor is not going to face a deficit. They may be able to take advantage of your work on the gas line. So you've kind of queued things up. That's got to be bittersweet for you.
I hope that they're hugely successful. I hope it happens on their watch. I really do. I would celebrate, instantaneously if a gas line happened on Governor Dunleavy's watch, Governor Parnell involved. It makes no difference to me who gets credit for anything. It's just that we get it done.
A lot of people wonder, had Mark Begich not stepped in, that maybe you might have squeaked through and won a second term.
I think we would have. I really do, and I think that while there was a lot of frustration over the permanent fund dividend itself, there's also a lot of folks out there, a lot of organizations that said, "Man, we are finally on the right course. This had to be done by somebody. I may not get as many votes as somebody else, but I've already won. I've got to be the governor of the state of Alaska that I love, that I was born in. I am so honored to have been the governor of the state of Alaska." Once you get to the top of the mountain, to me, it's not how long you stay there, it's the fact that you actually got there. Only 10 other Alaskans have had the honor that I have had to be the governor of this great state. I'll always be so appreciative of that opportunity.
Governors sometimes make their mark in unexpected ways. Ahead, how Bill Walker's unity ticket set the stage for a grand experiment in Alaska politics. The political pendulum swings once again, this time to a more traditionally conservative administration. And after Mike Dunleavy is sworn in, Bill Walker's bipartisan administration will be over. Soon, Bill and Donna Walker will have more time on their hands and fond memories of the Treadwell Arena where they could just be regular Alaskans. On the ice, the Walkers enjoy their last moments as the first couple. During his time in office, the governor was a big fan of university hockey games and solved the problem of what to wear.
So I took the two jerseys into a seamstress and said, how quickly could you turn this into one jersey? And I call it my bipartisan hockey jersey. So on the back, I'm a sea wolf, and on the front, I'm an Nanook.
Bill Walker and his running mate, Byron Malott, made history when they teamed up, a Republican and a Democrat, to form the Unity ticket, and then later a bipartisan cabinet.
I think that what I've learned is the importance of having the kind of cabinet that we've had, that every Alaskan can look at our cabinet and go, there's somebody there that is at the table and I relate to, and I feel they're representing me. And so
well, it was a grand experiment.
It was.
It was a grand experiment and probably not to be repeated again.
I wouldn't say that at all. I absolutely wouldn't say that at all.
Walker says his status as an independent allowed him to fly on Air Force One with both Barack Obama, a Democrat, and Donald Trump, a Republican.
And I think that was because I was not seen as a threat to anybody, because I'm independent. It's not like I'm one of them or one of us. I'm just, somebody representing Alaska.
Please give a warm welcome to Governor Bill Walker.
But just before the Alaska Federation of Natives Convention, Walker's bipartisan team took a huge hit when the governor accepted his lieutenant governor's resignation over what was described as an inappropriate overture to a woman. Without Byron Malott, there might not have been a Bill Walker elected as governor.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question about that. When he stepped aside and joined the campaign for the Unity ticket, he was the first one that put Alaska first. There's no question about that in this administration. So, and that created the opportunity on the Unity administration.
So in a sense, though, Byron marked the end of your bid to run for office.
That was certainly unfortunate. There's no question about that. And the irony of that is as well.
Byron Malott is my brother and my closest friend. He's my soulmate. That will not change.
I don't forget how I got someplace. I don't forget who was part of that. I have a deep relationship with Byron, and I always will. That doesn't change.
But Governor Walker also has the same kind of relationship with Valerie Davidson, who replaced Malott as lieutenant governor.
It has been my greatest honor and greatest privilege to have been able to serve in the Walker administration.
Davidson was Walker's Health and Social Services Commissioner and led his successful campaign to expand Medicaid.
So today, over 45,000 Alaskans now have health coverage under Medicaid expansion.
Effective today, I am suspending my campaign for the re-election as governor.
Davidson stood on the stage with Walker when he told the Alaska Federation of Natives Convention his campaign was over.
In life, sometimes you have the opportunity to stand with someone who isn't afraid to do the right thing, even though it may come at incredible personal cost.
Walker told the crowd he couldn't win and would drop out of the race to give Democrat Mark Begich a better chance to win, because he thought Begich would carry on a lot of his legacy.
How lucky we are as a state to have had Governor Walker. And, he's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of leader.
He bleeds blue and gold, I think.
Donna Walker says she's always had to share her husband's heart with Alaska, even as he fought cancer.
Even in the 2 weeks he was supposed to be recuperating, it was, time to submit the budget, and he was at his computer in his bathrobe probably 8 hours a day or on the phone.
It's a love that makes it hard for Bill Walker to say goodbye to their life in the governor's house, because that passion still burns.
When you get to know people you wouldn't otherwise have gotten to know. You have gone to places you wouldn't otherwise perhaps have the opportunity to go to, very special places in Alaska. So, it's just a treasure chest of memories. But what do you do with those memories that are, in a positive result?
For Donna Walker, the memory of her husband's announcement at AFN still hurts.
Emotions were, raw, I think, with all of us.
Then suddenly, the gathering broke out in song. Others gave the governor their chief's necklaces, some that had been passed down across the generations.
I want to give you this blessings. I want to give this to you in appreciation of all the work you've done. And I also want to acknowledge that you've been a friend.
And then just to see that outpouring of love and respect, it's been the best part of really the loss that, you know, we have experienced in some of this, but just to be bathed in love and appreciation and knowing it was so well deserved.
Were you proud of him?
Oh, I'm always proud of him.
If this house could talk, the thousands of people the Walkers hosted, the late nights when the governor wrote many letters.
Your father came up to me one time, he said, I just want you to know that my son says goodnight to you every night. And I said, he does. He said, yes, you sent him a note, you sent him a letter, and he put it right above his bed every night. He touches it, good night, Governor Walker.
And now it's goodbye, Governor Walker, and time to let history be the judge. Up next, Tim Bradner joins us with some parting thoughts on the Walker administration. It was just 4 years ago, but so much has happened since Bill Walker took his oath of office on his family Bible. And there is irony that his term ends as South Central Alaska was hit with a magnitude 7 earthquake. Walker has often talked about the devastation of 1964's Good Friday earthquake, how it affected his family, and now, in his last days as governor, there was a sense of deja vu.
The 64 earthquake, it was the National Guard were the first team that arrived in Valdez the next morning. And so it was, for me to be on this, to be in a National Guard, Black Hawk helicopter today took me back to, a point in time that was very pivotal for me and also for this state.
Tim Bradner joins us now. And Tim, you have a long view of Alaska politics. You and your brother Mike have published the Alaska Legislative Digest, so you've watched a number of administrations. But it is odd that he ends his term with an earthquake. A lot of bad metaphors could be made there, but do you find that sort of interesting?
Well,
a quirk of history?
It could seem to be, in the sense that I remember Governor Walker telling me about having been in Valdez during the 64 quake and how he was almost at the dock where the dock collapsed. It was lost by a quirk of timing with his father and his construction contractor. So he has a long personal memory and connection with earthquakes. So I think it's sort of symbolic. I mean, earthquakes happen. Who could have predicted this? But it is somehow fits the symbolism.
It does. I mean, because Alaska is a place where it is unpredictable. But I want to talk about sort of the politics that surrounded Bill Walker. He talked about having a bipartisan administration, how unique that was. And I want to show this sort of, how do you call it, this photoshopped image of Governor Walker playing a round of political poker. It was an Alaska Journal of Commerce graphic. It was on the cover. It sort of says something. Look at Berta Gardner and how tense she looks. And then you see the Republicans on the other side also looking tense, like neither fish nor fowl. This bipartisan approach made them all uncomfortable, Democrat, Republicans alike.
I think you can look at the expressions of people's faces there and you can see the tension. I think it's very appropriate. And by the way, credit for this particular cartoon goes to Andy Jensen at the Journal of Commerce, who conceived it. It's a great idea. But I think it really kind of, it explains a problem that kind of bedeviled Governor Walker all through his 4 years of office. Alaskans like the idea of bipartisanship and nonpartisan independence because most Alaskans are political independents. But one of the problems with this is in dealing with the legislature itself, which is divided into Democrats and Republicans. And when you're actually the governor and you have to deal with them, one of the problems with being an independent is you're neither fish nor fowl. And Republican legislators, Democratic legislators don't really know how to deal with you. So, because when you align yourself with your party, you align yourself with a point of view, a philosophy, and kind of people know, they knew who you were.
And Governor-elect Dunleavy is trying to make that clear, that he wants people clearly aligned with his agenda.
That's true, and had Senator Begich been elected, he would have been the same, I think. So I think we would have seen a different chemistry in Juneau. But one of the points to make is that this makes sort of a difficulty of dealing with the legislature, which did haunt Governor Walker during his tenure in office.
And when you need to deal with difficult problems, you need their cooperation. What about the Walker cabinet? We were there for the very last cabinet meeting, for part of it anyway, that he held in Juneau as they were closing down their Juneau operations. What do you think about the makeup of that? He had Sheldon Fisher, who was a conservative in his administration, Valerie Davidson, a nonpartisan.
Well, I think most people looked at the cabinet members as being non-political, really, whether they were Republicans or Democrats, conservatives or liberal. They quickly gained. Walker was known for appointing some excellent people, and they gained legislature's respect, I think. So that was a bright spot. Whether they were bipartisan or not, it was the individuals and the quality of the individuals that he appointed that made a big difference, I believe.
So I have a quick comment from the Lieutenant Governor, Valerie Davidson. Let's hear that.
I think that, when you're in the middle of cutting fish, it's a pretty messy process. But at the end, you end up with some pretty nice smoked fish that you enjoy all winter long. And I would say that analogy is also accurate for this administration.
Do you agree?
Well, boy, smoked fish, that sounds delicious.
Sounds good.
There's another way of looking at this, though. I could think of the sausage factory analogy. When you go to Juneau and you watch the way that legislation and policy is actually made in the state capitol, it's like going to a sausage factory. So maybe that's not another way of looking at it.
Well, just before we wrap up here, I want to talk about the governor's work on the gas project, natural gas project. Does he have a legacy? Maybe not what he expected?
Oh, I think absolutely. Of course, his whole career has been built around this project. And 2 years ago, the three North Slope producers basically handed over the keys. And of course, the state was in a partnership with the companies at that time, and any partner had the option of continuing work. But basically, they said, Governor, we just can't do this anymore. But under our agreement, we encourage you to continue working on it. Particularly, what was really important was work on the regulatory stuff. The certificate from for the federal government, and had that stopped, it would have really set the project back. So give Walker credit for continuing that work.
All right, well, I want to thank you very much, Tim Bradner, for some of those insights. Well, for now, Bill Walker's grand experiment in Alaska politics is over, and we'll have to wait to find out how history will look upon these past 4 years. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.